In the fast-paced world we live in, it seems like we're always being told to push harder, aim higher, and achieve more. Whether it's the pressure to perform at work, to be a successful entrepreneur, or to appear perfect on social media, we're caught in a constant whirlwind of hustle culture. It's everywhere. And at first glance, it might even seem motivating. But for those dealing with obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, this hustle mentality can be overwhelming, exhausting, and even harmful. The intersection of hustle culture and OCD is particularly dangerous because both are often rooted in perfectionism, the need to do things flawlessly, without room for mistakes. This constant striving for an unattainable ideal can result in mental and emotional burnout. But what happens when these two forces collide? What happens when someone with OCD is trapped in the never-ending grind of hustle culture? This is what we're going to explore in this article, diving into how OCD and hustle culture work together to create a cycle of exhaustion and frustration. Why is hustle culture so alluring? There's no denying it. Hustle culture is seductive. It promises success, status, and validation. It tells us that the more we work, the more we achieve. This message is reinforced everywhere, from inspirational quotes on social media to stories of self-made billionaires who never sleep, to TED Talks and books about optimizing productivity. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that working nonstop is the secret to success. But there's a hidden cost to this mentality. People who are trapped in hustle culture often feel the pressure to constantly perform. This go hard or go home attitude disregards the importance of rest, mental health, and self-compassion. It cultivates an environment where exhaustion is worn as a badge of honor, and if you're not busy all the time, you risk being seen as lazy or unproductive. For those with OCD, the drive to succeed can turn into something much darker. Perfectionism, which is already a core symptom of OCD, aligns with hustle culture's relentless pressure to achieve. This can create a toxic loop where individuals feel they must always do more, be better, and never stop until their work is flawless. The anxiety of failing to meet these impossible standards can be paralyzing, leaving little room for anything other than work. The paradox of perfectionism, how OCD feeds into hustle culture. At the heart of hustle culture is the belief that perfection is achievable and that achieving it will lead to success. This belief feeds into the perfectionistic tendencies of people with OCD. They often feel like anything less than perfection is unacceptable. The idea that they have to perform flawlessly in everything they do becomes an obsession. But perfection, as anyone who's ever tried to attain it knows, is an illusion. The closer you get to it, the further away it seems. People with OCD often feel trapped in their thoughts and actions, believing that they have to complete tasks a certain way or else something bad will happen. These obsessions aren't limited to physical tasks. They can also affect how someone works, communicates, or manages their time. The pressure to keep up with hustle culture can exacerbate these obsessions, making it feel like their entire identity is tied to how much they can accomplish. One of the most dangerous aspects of this is that the more someone with OCD works to achieve perfection, the more disconnected they become from their own well-being. They lose sight of what it means to truly rest or be kind to themselves. They're constantly measuring their worth by how much they do and how well they do it, never feeling like they're enough. The pressure is endless. And that's where the true exhaustion lies. The emotional and mental toll, how OCD and hustle culture combine to create burnout. The emotional and mental toll of juggling OCD and hustle culture is profound. For someone with OCD, every task becomes an all-consuming obsession. It's not enough to simply complete the work, they must do it perfectly, or they'll be riddled with guilt, shame, and anxiety. This leads to burnout, where the individual finds themselves physically and emotionally exhausted, but still unable to stop. The cycle of perfectionism can lead to chronic anxiety, always worrying about whether their work is good enough, whether they've made a mistake, or whether they're being judged by others. The fear of failure is magnified by the pressure to always be productive. Constant overworking. Working long hours, checking and rechecking work repeatedly, spending far too much time on a task to ensure that it's flawless. For those with OCD, the task is never really finished because the need to perfect it never ceases. Self-criticism and doubt. Even when tasks are completed to a high standard, people with OCD feel like they're not good enough. There's an internal voice constantly telling them that they should have done better, worked harder, or achieved more. Mental fatigue and exhaustion. The constant anxiety, overworking, and self-criticism take a toll on both the body and the mind. Sleep is often disrupted, and the individual struggles to maintain a sense of balance or peace. In this cycle, rest feels like a luxury. Taking a break is associated with guilt. Resting means not working, and not working means failing. The idea of relaxing feels foreign. But in reality, it's during rest that our bodies and minds recover. Without it, the effects of chronic stress build up, leading to emotional burnout and even physical health issues. This is the reality for many who are caught in the vicious cycle of OCD and hustle culture. The impact of social media amplifying the pressure to hustle. In today's world, social media serves as both a source of inspiration and a cause for comparison. Platforms like Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn are filled with people posting about their successes, their productivity hacks, and their seemingly perfect lives. For those dealing with OCD, this can make things even worse. The constant stream of perfectly curated content creates a distorted version of reality, where it seems like everyone else is working harder and achieving more. This fuels the fear of falling behind. The endless cycle of comparing oneself to others online can be debilitating. People with OCD often feel like they're not measuring up. They look at other people's achievements, their perfectly polished photos, and their busy schedules, and they internalize the message that they're not doing enough. But behind every successful post, there are countless hours of effort, and sometimes the emotional cost isn't visible. This pressure to maintain an image of success and productivity is a major contributor to the mental strain felt by people with OCD. It reinforces the idea that resting or slowing down is a sign of failure, and that to be worthy, you must always be striving for more. Sarah's story: the struggle to keep up. Let's return to Sarah, a project manager at a growing tech startup. Sarah has always been highly ambitious. She's passionate about her work, and she thrives on the adrenaline of meeting deadlines and achieving goals. However, she also struggles with OCD. Every task has to be perfect. If her presentation isn't flawless, or if her report has even a minor typo, she feels like a failure. Sarah's life has become a whirlwind of work. She wakes up at 6 a.m. to check emails, works through the day, and continues into the night. Her thoughts are consumed by her tasks, checking and rechecking every email, ensuring every detail of her presentations is correct. Even when she finishes a project, she's never satisfied. She replays everything in her mind, wondering if she could have done something differently, better. Sarah's OCD has made it difficult for her to shut off. When she's not working, she's anxious. She feels like she's falling behind her colleagues who seem to be handling their workload effortlessly. The more she pushes herself, the more exhausted she becomes, yet she can't seem to stop. The pressure to perform is overwhelming, and the fear of failure is suffocating. She feels trapped in a cycle of relentless productivity. Breaking the cycle: how to find a healthier work-life balance. It's important to understand that we don't have to live our lives chasing perfection or constantly working. True success comes from finding balance, knowing when to push yourself and when to take a step back. If you feel like you're caught in a toxic cycle of hustle culture and OCD, there are steps you can take to break free. 1. Redefine success. Success doesn't have to mean working nonstop or achieving perfection. Success can mean achieving balance, finding peace, and being kind to yourself along the way. 2. Practice mindfulness and self-compassion. Take time each day to check in with yourself. Practice self-compassion. Be gentle with yourself, especially when things don't go as planned. This helps reduce the impact of OCD's perfectionistic tendencies. 3. Create boundaries. Set clear boundaries around work and personal time. Take breaks, rest, and enjoy life outside of work. The world won't fall apart if you take a moment to breathe. 4. Challenge the hustle mentality. Not everything has to be a race. Stop comparing your journey to others. Everyone has their own timeline, and it's okay to move at your own pace. 5. Seek help. If your OCD is affecting your mental and emotional health, don't hesitate to reach out for help. Talking to a therapist or joining a support group can provide valuable tools for managing anxiety and perfectionism. Embracing imperfection in a world that demands perfection. In a world obsessed with productivity, it's easy to forget that true happiness and success don't lie in perfection or nonstop work. Rest, reflection, and self-compassion are essential for a healthy, fulfilling life. OCD may make it harder to slow down, but remember that you're not your work or your productivity. You are enough, just as you are, with all of your imperfections. Don't let hustle culture dictate your worth. You deserve to rest. You deserve to take breaks. And most importantly, you deserve to feel at peace with who you are. Disclaimer. This article is not intended to replace professional medical advice. If you're experiencing OCD or significant anxiety related to work or hustle culture, consider reaching out to a mental health professional for support.